in Davos at the World Economic Forum. John Kerry was there representing you and your country. But it also gave us the debut of the brand new Soros. That's right. George isn't going to be around much longer. So his son, Alex, was there.
But when I see this, when I look at this,
listen to how articulate he is when he calls out your fascism.
I don't think that's the fundamental. I don't think technology is the fundamental issue in democracy. Democracy is messy. I mean, democracy is about contestation of ideas. It's about plurality. It's about people having different truths. Actually, now, fundamentally, how society lives together civically in those contestations is obviously quite tricky. But I think that if we,
I gotta pause here for a second. This is incoherent rambling. If you can catch any of the words in between the ums and the ahs, but I got to tell you, this entire room is nodding along as if he is delivering some kind of truth from heaven on high. That there is some sort of untouched and unfettered wisdom that is spewing from his pie hole right now. He will go to a meeting like this, or he'll go to some high-end dinner in Washington or Manhattan with a bunch of politicians, and they will treat him like he is the smartest man in the room. And it's because he controls billions and billions of dollars. And that's it. Well, you talk about failing upward. Mr. Soros here can't put a sentence together, let alone two words together to form a sentence. And yet, he's the toast of the town. Because it's amazing what those Soros bucks buys.
Play too much on this disinformation card. We're taking the responsibility away from ourselves to actually create a narrative that
look at him nodding along as if he can even follow this train of thought. What the hell is he saying? Oh, yes. Thank you for enlightening me.
People to vote and to believe, in democracy and democratic institutions. And on the institutional part, I think that we can talk about institutions as these abstract things, but institutions are also about people. Mm-hmm. And we just heard this point about untrustworthy people, and we talked about things in the United States like checks and balances, which aren't written anywhere but are customs. And one man.
No, actually, they're written somewhere. They're literally written in our Constitution. Who is this moron? You talk about in America where they have checks and balances, although that isn't really written anywhere. It's literally part of our Constitution. It's built into it. We have three branches of God. I'm not going to educate him. He can pay me to educate him.
Donald Trump literally came in and just took that all away. I
love that there's no one there on the panel can say, excuse me, can you please tell me exactly how give me one example of how Donald Trump took all that away, took checks and balances out of the way, took separation of powers out of the way, took the fundamental structure of the United States government through its Constitution out of the way. Can you get one example? Seriously, one is all I need. One. Meanwhile, right now we have a president who is completely ignoring our laws when it comes to something as fundamental as securing our international borders. I assure you, security to get into the World Economic Forum, the World Economic Forum, I assure you that the security to get in through the door at the World Economic Forum was tighter than anything you'll see on our southern border. But no, it's Donald Trump who has completely taken away any kind of constitutional protocols in the United States of America. And they believe this. They all believe it, and they nod along.
But when I see this, when I look at this, more globally regarding democracy, I also say to myself, when was this great time that everybody got along so well, and things were going so great? I mean, I think I think that we really have to be careful here in this nostalgia for a time, for a time past, because a lot of the reactions we're seeing in society are actually reactions to positive things like like equality for women, and greater diversity, which come with backlash.
Well, we go from the ridiculous to the sublime over there in Davos because it wasn't all incoherent gobbledygook, as you just saw from the younger Mr. Soros. Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation, actually went there to literally speak truth to power. You hear all the time about how people speak truth to power. Here's Kevin Roberts representing a conservative thought in America, walking into that lion's den like Daniel, and he held his own. And we want you to appreciate what he did on behalf of us and our values. Watch.
It's laughable that you would, or anyone would, describe Davos as protecting liberal democracy. It's equally,
standing up for it.
It's equally laughable to use the word dictatorship at Davos and aim that at President Trump. In fact, I think that's absurd. But I'm going to step aside from that constructive criticism and instead answer your question.
Yep.
And I'm going to be substantive here. President Trump, if he's the next president, for that matter, I think whoever the next conservative president is going to take on the power of the elites, which I mentioned earlier. But the thing that I want to drive home here, the very reason that I'm here at Davos, is to explain to many people in this room and who are watching, with all due respect, nothing personal, but that's your part of the problem. Political elites tell the average people on 3 or 4 or 5 issues that the reality is X, when in fact reality is Y. Take immigration. Elites tell us that open borders and even illegal immigration are okay. The average person tells us in the United States that both rob them of the American way of life. They're right. President Trump will take that on behalf of the average American. Elites also tell us that public safety isn't a problem in big American cities. Just travel to New York or Washington or Dallas, Texas. The average person will tell you that the lack of public safety damages not just the American way of life, but their life. President Trump will take that on. Thirdly, I guess the favorite at the World Economic Forum is climate change. Elites tell us that we have this existential crisis with so-called climate change, so much so that climate alarmism is probably the greatest cause for mental health crisis in the world. The solutions, the average person know, based on climate change are far worse and more harmful and cost more human lives, especially in Europe during the time that you need heating, than do the problem and the problems themselves. Fourth, 2 more here, Robin. Okay. The fourth, China. The number one adversary, not just to the United States, but to free people on planet Earth. Not only do we at Davos not say that, we give the Chinese Communist Party a platform. Count on President Trump ending that nonsense. And fifth, as we sit here, another supranational organization, the World Health Organization, is discussing foisting gender ideology upon the global South. These are practices that are under review, if not being rejected, by countries in Northern Europe. The new president, especially if it's President Trump, will, as you like to say, trust the science. He will understand the basic biological reality of manhood and womanhood. And do you know why? Not because of retribution, not because he's a dictator, but because he has the power of the American people behind him. And it's connected to Senator Portman's excellent point that in addition to needing a vigorous executive, we look forward to having the popular will inform both the House and Senate in 2025 to pass laws on all of those issues and many others. Ultimately, Robin, I think President Trump, if in fact he wins a second term, is going to be inspired by the wise words of Javier Milei, who said that he was in power not to guide sheep, but to awaken lions. That's what the average American and the average free person on planet Earth wants out of leaders.
Wow. You know, it's very rare that you get a conservative thinker and leader of a very large and very institutionalized think tank like Heritage Foundation to have the ability to step up on a platform like that and so beautifully articulate not just what we stand for and what we're right about, but what all of those people in that room, and I'm thinking 99% of them couldn't believe what they were hearing, how they're so wrong. and why they're wrong. It was beautiful. And Kevin Roberts, Heritage Foundation, take a bow. Brilliant work.